You're watching the NWR Resources Conference, November 2020. On the line, we have Scott Williamson from Blackstone Minerals. Blackstone has a 90% stake in the Ta Khoa nickel and PGE project in Vietnam, which it is developing as a mine-to-market nickel business. Blackstone has partnered with EcoPro, the world's second largest nickel-rich cathode materials manufacturer, and is investigating the potential to develop downstream processing infrastructure in Vietnam. This would produce a downstream nickel and cobalt product to supply Asia's growing lithium-ion battery industry. We have Scott Williamson joining us today. He is the Managing Director of Blackstone. He's a mining engineer with more than 10 years of experience in technical and corporate roles in mining and finance. Prior to joining Blackstone in 2017, Scott held roles with Australian gold miner Resolute Mining and also worked as a resources analyst at leading financial services firm Hartley's, based in Perth. Over to you, Scott.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Nathan and the team at NWR for the opportunity to present today. That was a great intro, so I think we'll just jump straight into it. So at Blackstone, we've got an international portfolio of battery and precious metals across the globe and at different stages. So we've got exploration assets as well as our flagship Ta Khoa nickel sulfide project in northern Vietnam. We'll just quickly brief you on those non-core assets. So we initially started as an IPO on our nickel sulfide and gold exploration in Western Australia. So that's that Silver Swan South project number 3. So that's along strike of the Kanowna Belle gold mine, and it's also got some nickel sulfide potential in similar komatiite ultramafic as the Black Swan Silver Swan mine owned by Poseidon. We then went and looked for cobalt in British Columbia, which is the Goldbridge project number 2. And we've got a belt scale opportunity up there near Braylon. Braylon's the most prolific gold mining district in British Columbia's history. They've mined 4.4 million ounces at 17 grams per tonne gold. So both of those assets are becoming non-core, and we're looking to monetize those over time as well. So we're looking for partners, and we're also looking at opportunities to monetize those assets and focus on our flagship Ta Khoa nickel sulfide project in northern Vietnam, which is number 1. So we're in north of Vietnam. We're west of Hanoi with an existing mine and an existing mine infrastructure. It was operating between 2013 and 2016 in some of the lowest nickel prices we've seen in the last decade. So they closed this mine, put it on care and maintenance when the nickel price was $8,000 a tonne, and we're now double that price today. So it gives us a great asset to build what we believe could be a world-class nickel mining company over the coming years. Just in our corporate structure, we've done well to keep this intact. It's been a tough time for the capital market since we IPO'd, but we're coming into a much better capital market now. So we recently added Fidelity as a cornerstone investor, and we raised $21 million. So that just shows how strong these capital markets are at the moment. We've also got EcoPro as a major shareholder with 13%. And they have a board representative, Mr. Jung, on the board. So EcoPro, we'll talk more about them, but they're the largest cathode manufacturer in South Korea and a really important partner for our downstream processing in northern Vietnam. Board and management have a strong position of 14%. And we've got a very supportive shareholder in Deutsche Balaton out of Germany. So well funded with $28 million to get us through the next stage of studies for the next 12 to 18 months. So a board and management team with a history of corporate success and exploration success. So Hamish and Steve, it's a 20-year partnership, and Steve's recently had some great success with a company called Bellevue Gold Limited, and I think also presenting at this conference. So, and we're just beefing up the management team now to really restart this mine. So we've brought in Richard Kitchener, who's a general manager of operations. He's been in country for 10 years as a mining engineer. Steve Enor is the vendor of the project, so he's the general manager of project development. We've also brought in a head of project development recently, Andrew Strickland from GR Engineering. So we're teaming up to restart this mine over the coming years and months. So just before we go into the project, it's important to understand there's 2 types of nickel. There's class 1 and class 2 nickel, and class 1 nickel is the only type that can go into the lithium-ion battery. So for class 1 nickel, you want to be looking for nickel sulfide, and or you want to be looking at HPAL, which is a technically difficult process and a very high capital intensity. So for HPAL, you can use laterite ore bodies, but it's very technical and high capital intensity. So our preference is to look for nickel sulfide, and that's why we landed on this asset in northern Vietnam. So you can see with the charts there, there's a lot of demand coming from the lithium-ion battery. And most importantly, we want to be looking at green nickel. So green nickel is a nickel product that is mined in an environmentally sensitive way. And we believe we've got a green nickel product that will be in high demand for the lithium-ion battery industry. So just on that battery, so 40% of the cost of the battery is in the cathode, and 40% of the cost of the cathode is in the nickel and the cobalt. So there's a movement towards reducing cobalt and increasing nickel. So we're moving towards this 8-1-1 ratio of 8 times nickel, 1 times cobalt, and 1 times manganese. So the initial lithium-ion battery had an equal ratio of nickel to cobalt, and then there's been this movement towards nickel, high nickel cathode, which is the reason we've brought in EcoPro as our partner. So EcoPro is one of the world's leading cathode manufacturers in high nickel cathode, and will help us to produce the precursor product for the lithium-ion battery. So just on our project, so we're west of Hanoi, 6-hour drive west of Hanoi in the Son La province. In Son La, we have the largest hydro power plant in Southeast Asia, which gives us that potential to be a green nickel product by using the renewable power that's generated from that hydro Son La project. And we are 350 kilometres from the port of Haiphong. So this is a globally sort of significant region for manufacturing of electronics, and the future of the lithium-ion battery, we believe, will grow out of this region, as well as Korea, Japan, and China. We believe this is an emerging hub for the lithium-ion battery industry. So just on our project, so we have an existing concentrator, 450,000 tonnes per annum. The previous operators built a modern mechanised underground mine, and next to that, we have the large Banqua disseminated ore body, which is the maiden resource, which we will talk about. You can see we have the hydro grid power. We have a mining scenario very similar to the Mount Keith nickel mine in Western Australia. So this is a picture of Mount Keith, and something similar to what we believe we have over in northern Vietnam. But what we're going to do differently is we're going to take the concentrate and we're going to produce the downstream products, which is the precursor product for the lithium-ion battery. So we're looking at producing the NCM product, which goes into the lithium-ion battery. LG Chem is looking to build a $2 billion battery plant in Haiphong, and VinFast is a local conglomerate looking to build electric vehicles and electric scooters. So we're in an emerging hub for electronics and lithium-ion batteries, and we believe that we can take the nickel from in the ground all the way through to the lithium-ion battery in northern Vietnam. So just on some of the infrastructure that the previous owners have left behind, they've sunk over $136 million into the capital infrastructure. So we have a 450,000 tonne per annum concentrator. We will look to use that. And the scoping study which we announced did not look at the opportunities that we're now looking at to use this existing infrastructure and reduce that upfront capex. So we're now looking at, okay, well, what can we use out of these ore bodies? Which ones can potentially go through this existing concentrator, allowing us to reduce that upfront capital requirement. So this is the modern mechanised underground mine. So they used Australian mining contractors. We had Australian mining engineers and metallurgists that built this mine back in 2013 all the way through to 2016. Steve's kept this in great condition and ready to turn back on. We've just turned on our 9th drill rig, so we're a little bit out of date, but we're drilling very aggressively through this nickel sulfide district, and we're continuing to hit high grade nickel sulfide, and most importantly, we're using all the modern geophysics to unlock this world-class nickel sulfide district. We've got all the camps infrastructure in place, ready to go. We also already have a number of people in the camp. We have a fully permitted facility for tailings, and which also acts as a water dam. And in the concentrate shed, we have all the equipment all refurbished, ready to go. So we can turn this mine back on very quickly. We have the full stores of critical spares, and so a very strong a foundation for us to build on with that existing infrastructure. So just on our scoping study, which we recently announced, these are some of the high level numbers. So we're looking at consensus nickel price of around $8 per pound. We're looking at around $665 million US MPV. That is 2 times the capex. So a capex of around $315 million for our 4 million tonne per annum scenario, which produces around 13,000 tonnes per annum of nickel for an 8.5-year mine life, which are very strong IRR of 45% and a capital payback of 2.5 years. So very strong economics at consensus nickel price of around $8 per pound, and that we believe is a great investment case for the Blackstone shareholders. So just in a little bit more detail, so in that scoping study, we used our maiden resource, so 44 million tonnes at 0.5% nickel is the indicated component. We also have an inferred component, which we'll look to increase into the indicated category. But what really drives these economics is the ability to take that nickel concentrate and produce the downstream nickel process, which is the nickel precursor product, which is an NCM product, which trades at a 35% premium to the nickel metal price. So we can use the concentrate, which is a concentrate usually trades around 70% of the nickel price. We can upgrade that to a 35% premium. So we're going from 70% payability to 135% through this downstream processing, which we're talking about here. So this is the downstream processing. So we're taking the nickel concentrate, we're using a pressure oxidation process, which is a tried and tested technology used all through the mining industry. We're producing a mixed hydroxide precipitate, which is a MHP, which is a really important, I suppose, intermediate product for the lithium-ion battery industry. We're then re-leaching that MHP to produce that NCM product for the first stage of the cathode. So NCM will then be further processed to produce cathode. So this is where our partnership with EcoPro really comes to the forefront. So EcoPro will bring expertise. EcoPro already using this technology in South Korea to produce nickel precursor. So EcoPro will bring the expertise as well as some funding, and we will partner with EcoPro to build this facility. This is about $150 million of that total 315. 150, or about half of the capex, goes into this downstream processing facility. The other key important part of this facility is it allows us to remove or reduce the tariff which is on concentrate in Vietnam. So Vietnamese government are incentivizing downstream processing, and through producing this downstream product we can remove or reduce that tariff and really increase the economics of the project. So just on some of the upside opportunities, so we talked about the stage capex. So we want to use that existing infrastructure. We want to access some of these massive sulfide ore bodies, which we're currently drilling out, and are looking to show what that means in our pre-feasibility study. So we're looking at potentially reducing that $315 million capex significantly by using the existing infrastructure, and then building that larger concentrator from cash flow after the initial capex period. So really important to understand that the $315 million is a base case, and we believe we can remove or reduce a lot of that capex by using the existing infrastructure. The other thing that we didn't look at is these byproduct credits that are in these ore bodies. So we have copper, we also have platinum, palladium, gold, and rhodium, and all of those revenues weren't counted into that scoping study. So we only counted revenue from nickel and cobalt. We will now look at the potential to produce other products and other revenue streams through those byproduct credits. So just on some of the opportunities to improve on that scoping study. So we're currently drilling out the Banchang ore body. We're also drilling Takung, and we just recently announced the commencement of drilling at Banqua. So we are currently drilling 4 ore bodies, which we're looking to push into that pre-feasibility study. So these ore bodies will add either grade or ton. So the tonnage will come in some of these disseminated ore bodies, and that will add to the mine life, and the grade will come from the massive sulfide opportunities. And we're really focused on bringing in massive sulfide opportunities that allow us to use that existing infrastructure. So the existing infrastructure is suited to massive sulfide. So just on the drilling at King Cobra, so this is the King Cobra discovery zone. We're still drilling out this area. So the scoping study was based on all of the drilling up until July, and we're adding further drilling at King Cobra, and we will add that to the pre-feasibility study also. This is Banchang. So we have 2 parts of Banchang, Banchang West and East, and some really interesting massive sulfide opportunities here, but we've also got some broader disseminated and neck textured sulfide. So we've got over 1 kilometre strike potential here. We believe that this will be one of the many opportunities to build potentially an underground mine here at Banchang. Takung is another massive sulfide target. You can see we're using the modern geophysics, and you can see the EM. The previous owners weren't using the EM that we're using, so we're using modern geophysics. We have 2 geophysics crews stepping through these ore bodies, and you can see that the previous owners not having that EM, they haven't properly tested that massive sulfide opportunity at Takung. The mag anomaly also indicates an intrusion, so this one is also a blend of disseminated and massive sulfide. Banqua is also a similar scenario where we have a blend of opportunity here between disseminated and massive sulfide. We've just started drilling Banqua. We're very confident we will find an ore body at Banqua, very shallow, similar to Ban Phuc, and 1.5 kilometres to the north. So this is a very similar scenario to Ban Phuc. This will add tonnes to the mine life and mine life to that the next phase of studies. So just on that next phase of studies, so next year we're looking to deliver a pre-feasibility study early in 2021, moving straight into a bankable feasibility study in late 2021. 2022 will be the year where we look to restart the mine. So a decision to mine in 2022, restarting the mine, building that downstream nickel sulfate and precursor refinery with EcoPro in 2022, and then delivering these precursor downstream products in 2023. We think that's a really important time in the I suppose cycle of the lithium-ion battery demand that's coming, and 2023 is a great time to be in production, and we're very focused on delivering in 2023 for our partner EcoPro. So just in summary, so we have an international portfolio of assets at different stages. Today we just focus on our Ta Khoa nickel sulfide district. This is our flagship asset. This is what's driving value for shareholders. We will look to monetize some of those non-core assets over the coming months. But we're very focused on drilling out this nickel sulfide district. We have 9 drill rigs on the go at the moment. We believe this could be a world-class nickel sulfide district. We've delivered the maiden resource. We've delivered the scoping study. We'll continue to deliver the milestones required to bring this mine back into production. We've shown a very strong NPV. We're trading at a significant discount to NPV. We will close the gap on the NPV, and to do that, we need to restart the mine, and we're very focused on restarting the mine. We've built the team. We're now looking at how we can quickly move this back into production and bring in those cash flows that are going to drive shareholder wealth. And most importantly, we've got a board and management team that's done this time and time again. So a board and management team with 20 years of history of creating shareholder wealth through de-risking projects and moving them back into production. And thank you for your time. And any questions?
Thank you so much, Scott, for that presentation. We wanted to just touch on the drill program that you announced last week. Could you please go into a little bit more detail about that and what you're expecting to find there?
Yeah, so Banqua is an interesting one. It's one that we knew about very early, and it also, similar to Ban Phuc, there was some drilling back in the 1960s. So we're following up on historic drilling. That historic drilling didn't assay for copper, platinum, palladium, gold, and all these byproduct credits. So what is the biggest unknown is, okay, are we going to get some strong byproduct credits with our nickel? So we're confident we will find a nickel ore body at Banqua. It's a fairly large target. It could be in the order of sort of 10 or 20 million tonnes. So we're pretty confident we've got an ore body there at Banqua. One thing we don't know is how strong these byproduct credits will be, and whether that could put Banqua in front of Ban Phuc in the mine plan, depending on how strong those byproduct credits are. So it's a great target. It's and we've put 1 rig on it at the moment. We will put 2 or 3 rigs on that and drill that out as quickly as possible, because Banqua is a really important ore body to throw into that pre-feasibility study, and it might be one of those ore bodies that allows us to use the existing infrastructure. So we're really focused on bringing these ore bodies into that next stage of study. So Banchang, Takung, Banqua, there's a lot of drilling ongoing.
Thanks, Scott. We've got a question around the PFS and whether that's the trigger for signing a joint venture with EcoPro, and if not, what would be the trigger for them to sign?
Yeah, the PFS is a really key document, obviously a lot more detailed than a scoping study, and that's why we chose that as the trigger point for that joint venture. So we're very focused on delivering that PFS to EcoPro and then building the agreement around that PFS. So and to do that, we want to throw as many of these ore bodies into the PFS so that we make that agreement based on the best information we've got at the time. So yeah, that is the milestone that EcoPro and Blackstone have agreed is the point where we will establish the joint venture. So it's in writing that is the key document that allows us to build that partnership and then go and build the downstream together. And the reason being is that we can then go and do the bankable study as a partnership as well. So that's the reason why we've chosen the PFS. So yeah, it's important we get that PFS, lock EcoPro in as a partner, and then move straight into the bankable study.
Turning an eye to your org chart now, your company has recently made new board and management appointments. Why were these significant in your words?
Yeah, so really important to I suppose build a team, a world-class team for a world-class project. So it's been, I suppose, a real pleasure of mine to bring in people that I've worked with before and bring in people that have worked in Vietnam before as well. So really strong skills in country, but also strong skills in building mines and operating mines. So yeah, my background as a mining engineer, I've worked in many different mines across the globe. So I sort of, yeah, I suppose got out the old tally decks and a lot of these people I've worked with before, and that's important that we've got a team that can now go and deliver a project and deliver shareholder wealth. So yeah, it's a really important milestone for us, and for me, it brings great pleasure to say we've got a team that can build a mine, and a world-class mine.
Thanks, Scott. Would you like to add anything for closing remarks?
No, I think just I suppose that the key takeaway for us is we're one of the only nickel miners on the ASX or globally that has this relationship with the battery end users. So this is a really important relationship with EcoPro, and that allows us to access these downstream products that trade a significant premium to the nickel metal price. So all of our peers will either be selling concentrate or metal, which trades at a discount to the products that we'll be producing with our partner EcoPro. So we're in a very strong position to ride this demand coming from the lithium-ion battery industry.
Thanks, Scott. We look forward to watching along.
Thanks, Laura.